were brought upon Egypt. And between two lessons this week, tonight, lesson 20 and 21, we'll be looking at the other seven plagues. So lesson 6 will have 6 plagues, and the 10th plague we'll be learning in lesson number, the next lesson, number 21. So not just history, but many good things, many things we can learn that can help us in our day to day. And we have Brother Teclamarian reading for us today. So let's have lesson number 20 read. Thank you.
Moses and Aaron went to tell Pharaoh God's message. If you don't let my people go, I will send gadflies to the land. Swarms of gadflies invaded the houses of the Egyptians, both rich and poor. The whole land was full of gadflies, but in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites lived, there were no gadflies. Starting with this fourth plague, the plagues hurt only the Egyptians. Pharaoh pleaded, "Beg Jehovah to take these flies away. Your people can go." But when Jehovah took the gadflies away, Pharaoh changed his mind. Would Pharaoh ever learn his lesson? Jehovah said, "If Pharaoh does not let my people go, the animals of the Egyptians will become sick and die." The next day, the animals began to die. But the animals of the Israelites didn't die. Still, Pharaoh was stubborn, and he wouldn't give in. Then Jehovah told Moses to go back to Pharaoh and throw ashes into the air. The ashes became dust that filled the air and settled on all the Egyptians. The dust caused painful sores to break out on all of the Egyptians and their animals. Even so, Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go. Jehovah sent Moses back to the Pharaoh with his message. "Are you still refusing to send my people away? Tomorrow hail will rain down on the land." The next day, Jehovah sent hail, thunder, and fire. It was the worst storm Egypt had ever seen. All the trees and crops were ruined, but not those in Goshen. Pharaoh said, "Beg Jehovah to make this stop, then you can go." But as soon as the hail and the rain stopped, Pharaoh changed his mind. Then Moses said, "Now locusts will eat any plants that were left over from the hailstorm." Millions of locusts ate up everything that was left in the fields and on the trees. Pharaoh pleaded, "Beg Jehovah to send these locusts away." But even after Jehovah stopped the locusts, Pharaoh was still stubborn. Jehovah told Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky." Immediately, the sky became completely dark. For 3 days, the Egyptians could not see anything or anybody. Only the Israelites had light in their houses. Pharaoh said to Moses, "You and your people can go, just leave your animals here." Moses said, "We must take our animals so that we can offer them to our God." Pharaoh was very angry. He shouted, "Get away from me. If I see you again, I will kill you." You will again see the distinction between a righteous person and a wicked person, between one serving God and one not serving him.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ellie. So the 6 more plagues we're going to look at. Could we just get the first picture up on the screen? Thank you. So our first question is, what plagues did Jehovah next cause? Thank you, Brother Gala.
Well, the next plague, Jehovah sent swarms of gadflies into the land. These gadflies are a specific type of fly that actually bite livestock and humans, and they cause massive irritations to the skin. So the gadflies went into every household but the Egyptians that were in the land of Goshen. So it affected not only the animals and the food, but also the Egyptians as well.
Thank you. And thank you for leaving some for others to answer. So, as we see on the pictures there, we've had the first one on the left mentioned. The other two that are there, so we've had the sickness of the animals and also the sores that humans got. I don't know about you, but that back, he looks like he's in an awful lot of pain. And so what other plagues were there then that we're looking at in this lesson then? And could we swap the picture over to the next one? Thank you. So what's happening now in these pictures with these plagues? Thank you, Sister McCulloch.
The seventh plague was the worst storm Egypt had ever seen. It was raining down hail, thunder and fire.
Thank you, yes. And what about the cute little creatures in the middle picture? Why were they going there? They look... So Egypt probably didn't have many crops left. So what was going to happen next? Thank you, Sister Gallo.
So after the hailstorm, the locusts came and they ate what was left of the hail. That didn't destroy the crops. The locusts did eat everything.
That's right. So imagine a whole nation with their food sources deprived. And the next, which is number 9, isn't it? So which was plague number 9? At least life, they probably thought just when life couldn't get worse. Thanks, Sister America.
So the 9th plague was darkness covered Egypt for 3 days.
Thank you. Yes, unfortunately we have to lighten the picture a bit. Thank you, Brother Nicholson.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. This plague, all of them, of these plagues now that we're looking at, didn't occur with the Israelites. But you think, well, how did that work? That the Egyptians were in darkness, and yet the Israelites had light in their homes. So that's what an amazing miracle Jehovah performed there, where the Israelites still enjoyed light, and there's a chubby Egyptian in the dark.
Thank you. And that leads us to our next question, talking about these 6 plagues in this lesson. How were they different from the first 3 plagues? Thank you, Sister McLean.
With the first 3 plagues, the Israelites were affected too, but now only the Egyptians suffered from the plagues, so that, as Jehovah said at Exodus 8:22, his people will know that he was with them here in the land of Goshen.
Thank you, yeah. And Brother Aris?
So now we appreciate the resounding words at Malachi chapter 3 and verse 18, where there would be a distinction between those who were righteous and wicked.
Thank you, yes. So, moving along from that, we see this situation and we see this distinction, and now people would need to make a decision, wouldn't they? Particularly Egyptians. So, when we think about this account, what do we learn about Jehovah from these accounts? Thank you, Sister Cox.
During each of the plagues, it reminded me of how faithful Jehovah is to his word and how strongly he feels about his people. God gave very specific details about what would happen as a consequence of withholding the Israelites from leaving. And in each case, all of the things that Jehovah said would happen occurred exactly as mentioned. And Jehovah hasn't changed, which gives us the confidence that whatever he says he will do in the future, even down to the smallest detail, will be exactly as described, and because he has the desire and the power to act in behalf of his people.
Thank you. It's a fine comment. And thank you, Brother Kreider.
One thing's for certain about Jehovah, he doesn't do things halfway. He has his name, says, he causes to become. So whatever he causes to become, it's going to be done at 100%. Just like these plagues were very thorough, without a doubt. So we can see how Jehovah does things, and it will fulfill his purpose.
Thank you. And Brother Aris?
We also get to see that Jehovah is a God that can't be mocked. Every time Pharaoh asked Moses to relieve them of that plague, and then he would say, "You can go now. You can, if you do this," and yet he would change his mind time after time. So Jehovah showed him as well, even though he was patient, he could not be mocked.
Thank you. And thank you, Sister. The back row.
Jehovah also shows that he is powerful over animals' health, weather, food supplies, and even light. He warns his people over and over again in advance, and he also shows mercy over and over again and shows his power and superiority of all.
Thank you. And thank you, Brother Hard.
And Jehovah today is making a distinction between his people and the world, the training we are receiving and the qualities that Jehovah helping us to have, like displaying Christian qualities, honesty, kindness, and peacefulness, rejecting violence, that all help us to be different than the world.
Thank you. And thank you, Brother Nicholson.
I mean, when we think of man's wars, and they think they might have a just war, but whoever they attack, there'll be indiscriminate killing, there'll be innocent bystanders. But when we see this, Jehovah can make a distinction between who he wants to punish and who he wants to save. And that can give us, well, does give us confidence today that we're spread throughout the earth, but Jehovah will protect his people, and only those that he doesn't want to protect will suffer the consequences of not obeying him.
Thank you. Well, let's leave lesson 20 there. We'd like to thank everyone for their comments. And let's now have lesson number 21 read, which is entitled The Next 10th Plague.
Moses promised Pharaoh that he would not try to see him again. But before he left, he told Pharaoh, "At midnight, every firstborn child in Egypt, from the son of Pharaoh to the sons of the slaves, would die." Jehovah told the Israelites to have a special meal. He said, "Kill a 1-year-old male sheep or goat, and put some of its blood on your doorway. Roast the meat and eat it along with unleavened bread. Be dressed with your sandals on, ready to go. This night I will set you free." Can you imagine how excited the Israelites must have been? At midnight, Jehovah's angel went to every house in Egypt. In the houses that were not marked with blood on the doorway, the firstborn died. But the angel passed over the houses marked with blood. Every Egyptian family, rich and poor, lost a child. But not one of the Israelite children died. Even Pharaoh's own son was dead. Pharaoh could not take it anymore. He immediately told Moses and Aaron, "Get up, get out of here, go and worship your God. Take your animals and go." Under a full moon, the Israelites marched out of Egypt, organized by family and tribe. There were 600,000 Israelite men and many women and children. Also, a lot of other people went with them so that they could worship Jehovah too. The Israelites were free at last. To remember how Jehovah had saved them, they would have the same special meal each year. It was called the Passover. For this very reason I have let you remain, to show my power in connection with you, and to have my name declared in all the earth.
Thank you. Thanks very much for your fine reading, Brother Teclamarian. So, the 10th plague. Our first two questions. First of all, what was the 10th plague? Thank you, Sister Lynn.
The 10th plague was the death of all the firstborn in Egypt.
Thank you. Sounds very, very serious, doesn't it? If we thought the other plagues were bad, imagine this one. But the next question, what did the Israelites have to do to protect themselves from that plague? And if we can just get the picture up on the screen for that. Thank you. So what the Israelites have to do? Thank you, Sister Rena.
That the Israelites have to have a special meal. They have to kill a 1-year-old male sheep or goat and put the blood onto their doorway. And so they have to have the roast meat and eat it along with the unleavened bread and dress with their sandals and ready to go.
Thank you. And so when we think of what happened there, what the Israelites had to do, and we see the picture, what would happen if the Israelites didn't do it? Like, could they use any sheep, for example? Once they had the blood on the doorpost, could they just walk outside in the middle of the night? When we think about the account, and we don't have time to read all the verses from Exodus, but were there other things they had to do as well? Were there other direction that Jehovah gave them that we may think about? Thanks, Brother Harb.
Well, they had to stay inside homes and be dressed and their sandals on, ready to go. Because Jehovah told them, this night you will be free.
Thank you, yes. So even with the sheep, they had to organise the sheep about 4 days before when we read through the account. And we have that verse there that's already been read, Romans 9 verse 17, which says again, for this very reason I've let you remain, to show you my power and connection with you and to have my name declared in all the earth. Who's that talking about and why, those words? We know it's quoting from Exodus chapter 9. Thank you, Brother Katrupi.
Well, this was specifically Pharaoh, and we might just reflect on this account. Why 10 plagues? Why not just use that one plague and be done with it? But we see there was much more involved. Jehovah was wanting to set a precedent to demonstrate clearly and unequivocally who he was and how insignificant rulers of this world are. So the nation of Egypt, as well as the Israelites, became eyewitnesses to all of this transpiring, and it would build faith in them, because what lay ahead was not insignificant, and they needed to see that Jehovah was true to his word and could be relied on, and that the rulership of man, in the case of Pharaoh, was really insignificant. And you can imagine this happening to Egypt, which was a mighty power, would get out. Nations around would hear of this, of what occurred here, and Jehovah's name would be spread even further.
Thank you. And when we think of what happened there too, how did the Israelites come to? When we think of what happened, we think of the way that Jehovah had everything in command, didn't he? And what does that tell us about Jehovah, or what do we see as how Jehovah did everything here? Or maybe I'm not asking the right sort of question, am I? Yeah. So what does this teach us about Jehovah then, when we see the things that happen? Thank you, Sister Lynn.
Just with the Passover meal, I learned that Jesus died on the same day as the Passover lambs were being sacrificed in Egypt, but the two events were approximately 1,446 years apart. And just as the lamb's blood protected the Israelites, Jesus' blood protects us spiritually, which proves that Jesus is the true Lamb of God. So this showed me how Jehovah can carefully arrange events to fulfill prophecy as our great timekeeper, and we see the clear connection of Israel's physical salvation to our spiritual salvation.
Thank you. And thank you, Brother Nicholson.
And we learn too in the account, when we read the account, Jehovah is truly a God of justice. Even in seemingly little details, the Israelites were never paid for making all the bricks for the Egyptians. So that compensation came in the form of going and asking the Egyptians to give them jewels and riches and garments, and that's what they got. But the brothers bring out that was payment for their hard work.
Thank you. And Brother Crider?
Yeah, Jehovah showed a tremendous amount of patience before, and he magnified himself in front of Pharaoh and all the Egyptian gods. And it just reminds me of one of my personal favorite scriptures in Ezekiel 38:23, which will happen in the future, where he says, "And I will certainly magnify myself and sanctify myself and make myself known before the eyes of many nations, and they will have to know that I am Jehovah."
Thank you. And could we have the last picture up as well? So what's happening here then? And do you think if we were an Israelite and we just lived through the first plague, did we fully put faith that this was going to happen? So what's happening now? So they've had the Passover lamb, haven't they? So what's this illustration telling us? Thank you, Brother Katrupi.
Well, again, Jehovah, true to his stated will, has freed the nation of Israel. And when you look at that, you get a sense of just the enormity. The scriptures speak about 600 men, let alone the women and children. So probably in excess of over 1 million people are now mobilised and moving out of Egypt, and it gives you a sense of why Pharaoh was reluctant to let them go at any cost, but finally he succumbed to Jehovah, and the result was the people obediently, and then also a vast mixed company who were eyewitnesses to all that went with them, so they all saw the salvation of Jehovah.
Thank you. And thank you, Sister Kim.
And we can see the plagues also do softening work on the men of Israel, because they once complained against Moses, but now after the 10th one, now they just follow Moses' lead and get organized and just follow him out in an orderly way out of Egypt.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. So, 10 plagues, and would have been very difficult to live through them, but eventually they got their freedom because of what? Because of Jehovah God organising all this and doing these things. So are there any practical lessons we can think about for us today? See, we're living in the time of the end, so what can we think about for us? Thank you, Sister Cox.
Yeah, with the Israelites, they were asked to literally mark their houses as a display of taking sides with Jehovah. And there was a clear distinction between those who obeyed God and those who didn't. And so for us, we also understand the need to take sides with God, which requires openly identifying ourselves as his people. And this can be hard at times, but we know that Jehovah gives us the courage we need, and he rewards any sacrifices we make.
Thank you. And thank you, Brother Crider.
Yeah, it's very clear Jehovah has always used the channel for instructions. He used it back then through Moses and Aaron to give his instructions and his warnings to the people, and he's using his channel today through the faithful and discreet slave. Comes down through branches to the congregations to us.
Thank you. And our sister in the back row.
Avoid the trap of stubbornness, rather be obedient, which then bring joy, life, and blessing.
Thank you. And thank you, Brother Hart.
And the main issue, or the main point, liberation of the Jews was important, but the most important thing was Jehovah's name to be vindicated and to be declared all around the world, his personality, his qualities. And the same today, Jehovah is empowering us to make his name known.
Thank you. Well, let's conclude there. We'd like to thank everyone for their comments, and we'll hand back to our chairman.
Thank you very much, Brother Gary, for taking us through the Congregational Bible Study tonight, and thank you, Brother and Sister, for your fine comments as well. Very encouraging. So now to conclude our meeting, if you can all stand and sing song number 148. It's entitled Jehovah Provides Escape, and following the song, we invite Brother George Arias to conclude the meeting in prayer. Thank you.